All right, we are live here on Facebook. I'm so excited to introduce a wonderful speaker on today. Y'all know I was talking to y'all earlier about a beautiful speaker that I'm going to be bringing forth. We're talking about our principal from Hamilton County. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited to introduce him to you all. I want y'all to have an open mind on today. Um, this man, I have worked with him. I have been in his presence. I have been just blessed to have him and for him to say yes. Y'all know how many times you have a principal that you can actually have to come on your show that you can talk to, ask questions to. Listen, y'all know when you get to this point as a principal, as someone who's leading in a certain area at a school, y'all know how often people actually come on to Facebook Live. Y'all know it's not many principals that you see actually do that because you know what? They're not brave enough, they're not bold enough to be asked questions. So I am so grateful that he said yes to this. And y'all know I am about empowerment, I'm about encouragement. So any questions that you all have, be respectful, and the comments that you all have, be respectful. Okay. So I am excited to have this man of God, principal of Hamilton County High School, to come forward to us so we can have some questions that we can ask him on today. I want you all to do like y'all always do when y'all come on Newbeing Queen Talk Show. I want y'all to share this broadcast. I want y'all to share it. We are also live on YouTube. We're also live on LinkedIn. We're also live on Facebook. Okay. So I want you all to go ahead and share this. If y'all see this, listen, don't be shy, don't be nervous, do like y'all always do, ask questions, and hey, entertain us on today. This man of God is here to answer the questions that you all have, and if you happen to miss it, it's okay, because it will still be a Newbie and Queen Talk Show, and it will also be on LinkedIn and on YouTube, so y'all can see it on TV. Y'all know how we do it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring him up. Y'all make sure that when y'all start, y'all ask questions, and don't forget to share this live. Share this interview on today. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to present to some, introduce to others, the principal of Hamilton County, Jasper, Florida High School, Principal Ryan Mitchell. Hello, Mr. Mitchell. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Miss Yolanda. Thank you for this opportunity that you've given to me to come on here and just really talk about the things that we're doing out here at Hamilton County High School.
Yes, I'm excited about it because you know what? When I first got to school, I didn't know all the beautiful things that was going on, right? And so I went one of the I don't forgot the name of, but it was something that y'all were doing at the school, and I went into the gym and I seen all of the things that people were doing to sign up at the school, and I was like, I didn't even know all this stuff was out here, and available to our children if they wanted to get into those different things. But I can talk to you about those different what is that? What was that I had attended? What was that called?
So that was our club and extracurricular sign up day. We did things a little differently this year, where we put all of the representatives from our different clubs and put them in the gym, and we brought all the kids in to find out what clubs were available, what sports were available, what other activities were available, and let them sign up all at the same time so that we didn't have to disrupt as much instructional time as possible. But the other cool thing, and one of the things that we're really big on here at the high school, is we let our students, for the most part, do the talking. So we encouraged our clubs to send student representatives to the gym so that they can talk with other students about what their club is about, what they do in the club, what you need to do to join the club. So we were very proud of that day, and that's something we're certainly going to continue to do in the future.
Yeah, it was because, when I went in there, what was so amazing is the students that I went to and I said, well, what is this about? They had the information for me. That's what I was like, oh, this is really nice. It was a good, calm environment. It was set up really nice. It was a controlled environment. And the children, every last one of them knew about their department. That's why I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Like, oh my goodness, what are y'all doing? But I was just intrigued. And I was like, what does SWAT represent? And they were able to tell me. They went into details. They were excited about it. And I said, that's good. And it's good that you're starting them out now to have a voice and to be a leader. You know what I'm saying? Like you starting them out now in that aspect. So I just love it. So what I want to ask right now is before we get into all this, because we done just got started. We hadn't even introduced you. We hadn't even talked about, how you got into being a principal at the school or even your background. So can you
Sure.
give us a little bit more information about your background?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I'm most proud of is that I'm a third generation educator at Hamilton County High School. My grandfather was an educator and worked for the district office, and both of my parents were teachers. My dad was a coach, a teacher, a principal, and was recently retired from being the superintendent in the year 2020. And my
Mhm.
mother, a beautiful, wonderful lady, was a business teacher and a guidance counselor and a testing coordinator for the district. So it runs in my blood pretty good.
Okay.
Um, I graduated from Hamilton County High School in 2001, matriculated to Florida State University, graduated there in 3 years, came back and started teaching math and coaching football and baseball here. As a matter of fact, my first year as a teacher at Hamilton County High School was the same year that the current school that we're in opened. So
Wow.
I graduated at the old campus. I started teaching at the new campus. Um, and then I worked my way from classroom teacher. My original goal was to be a teacher for 30 years and be the head baseball coach for 30 years and then just retire into the sunset.
Uh-huh.
But the good Lord has plans for us we don't know. And so
Right.
I had the opportunity to become a math coach, and
Mhm.
that led to other opportunities in leadership. I was a curriculum coordinator here. I left Hamilton County after about 10 years here to go work for a consortium of 15 districts where I traveled
Mm.
all around north central Florida, from everywhere as far as Levy County over to Flagler County. And I trained math teachers and instructional coaches. I worked with school principals just to really try to help them improve their math scores, help them improve their schools. Um, it was during that time that I really felt called to be a school leader.
Right.
I saw a lot of great things happening, and I was really starting to hone in what I believed schools should be and should do. And so
Right.
I left NEFAC to be an assistant principal at PK Young, and I did not plan on leaving PK as quickly as I did. However, I have a son who is now a senior in high school, will be graduating this year. And I
Okay.
have another son. My oldest one is James, and my youngest one is Matthew. And I found myself pulled between being an assistant principal in Gainesville and being a good father.
Mm.
And
Right.
any day of the week, I'm going to choose being a good father over my professional career. Um, so I decided to come home, and I became a teacher support colleague, which is kind of like an instructional coach. I worked my way up to be an assistant principal, and then I was named interim principal, and eventually the title of principal. So this is year 2 for me. Um,
Come on.
I am also happily married to my high school sweetheart. We started
Ooh!
dating. We started dating in May of our freshman year at high
Uh-huh.
school in 1998, May 20th of 1998. And she's our high school graduation coach and guidance counselor, Miss Elizabeth Mitchell. So, just to say I'm a blessed man is an understatement for sure.
You are most definitely. What was so amazing with me, and I was just so intrigued. I was like, who is this man? I, you know, didn't really like school. I didn't like school much, right? I didn't really like school. But when I started working there, I found myself like, I don't know, am I in the right place? And I started liking it. And I remember one day when you came into the classroom and I was like, what is the principal doing in the classroom? And I was like, okay, so I know I'm a sub, but my goodness, am I not doing this thing right? But you came in and you was talking to the babies. They were enjoying you. They were coming up and having a conversation with you. And what got me is when you took out the time to teach class. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, look at him." And you was having so much fun. And I just felt so bad. I was like, "Poor thing." He's going back and forth in and out in the classroom and you were teaching and them babies were loving it. And you took out your time and you said, "I'm doing something that I love. I love teaching." And I said, "Amazing." And so that right there really gave me I already had respect for you, but I had more respect for you because you're more than just a principal, a leader, someone in the position that you're in. You're saying, if I have to teach, I'll teach. If I have to sweep the
Absolutely.
floor, mop the floor, pick up trash, I am not beyond any of that. That right there just cut the cake for me. And I was like, I gotta bring him on. I gotta interview him. I gotta let people know what kind of man we're dealing with. And a lot of people have so much respect for your dad. I mean, and it just trickled down. It just trickled down. Like it was just, I mean, you still have that same rich blood flowing through you
Yes, ma'am.
with the love and the passion that you have. And it's in the children, they have a voice and you've allowed them to have that. So that's what I love.
That's my passion. When people ask me what I do for a living, I say I'm a
Uh-huh.
teacher. My current
Uh-huh.
job is principal, but
Right.
ultimately I'm always a teacher.
Yeah.
Miss Joanna, who I'm sure almost
Oh
everybody knows,
goodness.
who's my administrative assistant.
Who don't?
They joke that when they can't find me, they just start calling around the classrooms to see where
Hmm.
I'm at, because that's where I go hide. You mentioned picking up trash. I have a bucket and a picker upper in my classroom that
Hmm.
this past week I got a little, being a principal, it's stressful at times. And
Mm,
so we've been dealing with some things. Some days are easier than others, and I just got to a point where I needed to get out of my office. And so I picked up
mm,
my bucket, I picked up the trash picker upper, and I just went and picked up
right,
trash for about 15 to 20 minutes. I also used it as a point to show students how much trash there was on our campus. It's always a learning
right,
experience. But I firmly believe, and I think a lot of it goes back to teachers, coaches, principals, obviously my parents, my grandparents, um, that I firmly believe that I'm never going to ask anyone to do something
something
that I wouldn't be willing to do.
to myself,
and
right,
and because even though my title is the principal, that there's not a job on this campus that I wouldn't do.
right.
And a lot of them I have done. They don't let me drive buses anymore, but I have driven a
Ooh,
bus. uh, but
uh,
if I want people to really buy into the work that we're doing, and I want
right,
them to ultimately invest in our students and our young people, which is
mhm,
because that's what we do. That's what everyone does. Everyone that steps on my campus, you mentioned you being a substitute. Every single adult, every staff member that steps on our campus is an educator. We all play
right,
different roles. We all have
right,
different goals. We all have different tasks we have to accomplish, but we educate our kids, and they care
right,
more about what they see us do than what we say. So we have to make sure that we set the right example for them. And as a principal, that's ultimately my job, is to set the right example for the students and the adults alike. So um, I'm very proud of it. Very proud of what we're doing. And we just hope to continue to pick it up and continue to build. My mantra is the number one school in North Florida,
I
and
know that's right,
I firmly believe that we are well on our way to that. I think that we have all of the ingredients to be the number one school in North Florida. But just
mhm,
like every good chef, sometimes you have to tinker with it till you get it just
right,
right. And
right,
we'll never stop working to improve. But I just hope Hamilton County embraces um, what bright young people we have here, and the future we're
yes,
trying to build for them to make this a successful place and a successful community.
mm, that is just too awesome. I remember being in the classroom one day, and I was like, what is that music I'm listening to? And I don't forgot the name, but it was something I remember when I was probably elementary or high school, and it really livened the place. And the kids was like, "What is he playing?" And I was like, "Don't like y'all don't know. He's so down to earth." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I don't forgot what it was that was played, but it was really good. Do you remember what it was?
So every once in a while on Fridays before I do the announcements,
Uh huh.
and then on early dismissal days like this coming Friday when we get ready to release for Thanksgiving, I like to play music at Christmas at the end of the year. But on
Oh
Fridays, I like to play music before I do the morning announcements, and so
yes.
sometimes I try to play current stuff that's obviously clean, and they only get a couple seconds of it, so just to get them
Uh
talking. But
huh.
I play "Whoop There It Is" by Tag Team,
That's
and
it. That's it.
and that has a big history going back to 1992 with our basketball team when we won the state championship. So I'm
Oh.
well aware of that. But anytime I can go old school on them a little bit, I'm going to do it. And then I just like to get the kids' reactions when I'm walking the hallway with them, where they'll say, "What were you thinking playing that music today?" Or they were like, "We like that one. Play that again in the future." So just anything to catch their attention and to have a little fun, because uh, we're going to work hard, but we're also going
Right.
to have a good time while we're out here.
Right. And so I know we're talking about Hamilton County and things like that. We're talking about the school that we're in, and we know that you, because you're an educator, you love school, you love teaching. Like that's what you are, and that's what I love about you. You're very intelligent. You've been through so much. I mean, education wise, and to get yourself where you are today, like you really, it's not like you like, okay, my dad or my family history, you know, and I got into this seat. No, I worked myself up to this place, and I love it. And to see you in action, you're so down to earth, and then you're current. So I said that
Yes, ma'am.
because I worked at some place where you didn't get a chance to see the supervisors, you didn't get the chance to see the people who were bosses, and you didn't get a chance to see them. You heard of them, but you seldom seen them. They did not have an open door policy. Not only is your door open to staff, your door's open to the children, and then you are out and about with them and you listen to them. And I love, and your staff, I'm gonna tell you now, your staff is great. I'm telling
Very
you,
much.
I don't, I know they're deans, but they're like security. And when you call them, they're coming, and they probably gonna come running, and they do not waste time. And I love that about them. And I'm not gonna keep raving about, I just have to. I'm just saying, I just have to talk about my experience. Okay.
Well, and it's so great to hear that from someone who comes out and works with us,
Mhm.
because I am very proud of the staff we've built. I mean, I could go around my entire front office. We mentioned Miss Joanna, Miss
Yes.
Stephanie Pierce is an assistant principal. You're referring to Miss Chris Robinson, and who's
Yes.
my high school dean of students, Mr. Scott Conley, who's my another one of my assistant principals, but he handles discipline for us as
Yes.
well. They have been super proactive this year. In
Yes.
anytime we get wind of drama or anything going on
Any.
campus, we don't. The thing that we preach, and this is part of our, and I'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but with us being a leader in me school, we focus on the 7 habits of highly effective people, and the first
Ooh.
habit is to be proactive. And so, what better way to model that for our students and for our staff is to be proactive in what we do, and
Right.
with discipline, we do our best to try to head it off, to try to
Right.
cut it off, because ultimately, we don't like to send kids to ISS. We don't like to send
Right.
kids home suspended. Um, but you're going to have to do what's right out here. We're going to hold you accountable when you don't, but we're going to love you when you come back. But I
Yeah.
can't educate you. I can't teach you
If
if
you're
you're not
home.
in class.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm so thankful that you shouted them out. And the other, my student services department is amazing. We just hired Miss Michelle Connell to be our middle school guidance counselor. I've got
Oh.
Miss Roxanne Byer, who is my 9 and 10 guidance counselor. My wife, Elizabeth Mitchell, um, she just spoke at a conference
Uh-huh.
of other guidance counselors this week, and
Mhm.
showed all of the things that she's doing with her website, with graduation. Mr.
Mm.
Lewis Daniels, our teacher support colleague. So
Oh,
I have, as a principal, sometimes my job is to stay out of the way,
right.
let my people be great, and
Mm.
give them a place to go work. So I'm extremely proud. I love all of my students, but I'm extremely proud of not just those staff that I mentioned, but our teaching staff, our custodial staff, our food service staff. I mean,
Mm.
we've got a lot of really great people out here, and like I said, we're always tweaking, always looking to try to make it better. But
Uh-huh.
I'm very very proud of the staff that we've assembled so far.
Yeah, I love 'em. And then when I love, and you were saying this about the students, because my experience when I have had some things that that I may not have agreed or like what the students were doing, when I call them, um the baby, I call them babies, Lord forgive
Yes,
me, but I call, when they talk to them and they come back, whether it's the same day or the next day, their attitude is different, and it's like that's what it is. And it's like finding out what's probably really, really bothering them. Did they get up too early? Did they get rushed to school? Whatever the case may be, why are you acting like this, and what is really going on? So it's not like they're just hearing my side of the story, they actually hear the student side of the story, and they're able to communicate that. And then their attitude is much different. So I do want to ask another question.
sure.
So, what is your greatest concern? We know that in school, everybody have like, teachers have things that they're concerned about,
Mhm.
and we also have like the principal. Can you tell us what are some of the things you say, if I can just get this one thing together, or something? And you said, but it's not just this one thing, but it's like something that's really like really getting to me, and I wish that we can work on this. What is that one thing that is really a concern for you as a regard to Hamilton School?
Oh, absolutely. We'll start with something that we can control, and that's student attendance.
Okay.
I think that we, living in the post-COVID world, we got very
Mhm.
comfortable with
Yeah.
doing things remotely, and
Right.
um, I know that we attempted to do school remotely. It wasn't as successful, but we didn't have a lot of time to plan for that. That's
Right.
that is what it is. But, I think we kinda got away from the importance of being at school,
Right.
and to piggyback off what I said about students who are in ISS or suspended, uh,
Mhm.
if they're not here, we can't educate them. And what
Right.
a lot of people don't realize is when you miss 1 day of school every week, that can add up to about 35 days
Mm.
in a year.
Right.
36 days in a year. And listen, I am completely on board with, if you're sick, please stay home. We don't want
Right.
we don't want to spread sickness and illness. We're fighting that already. Um, I'm fully aware of mental health concerns. We are
Mhm.
very receptive to those issues and work to get the help for students who need mental health. And I tell my teachers, sometimes you just need a day. You just need a
Yes.
day to get it together, and
Yes.
get back to work, and I'm not against any of those things,
Right.
but what it can't become is habitual. Um,
Right.
when it becomes habitual, we have a problem, and one of the
Right.
things we're facing here in Hamilton County is a high attendance and truancy rate. Um,
Mhm.
our goal in Hamilton County High School is to prepare students to be successful when they leave us. A lot of
Right.
people view graduation as an ending point, and it's an ending point for
Mm.
your educational career. But
Right.
what we pitch it as, and what we're really working hard to change the view of it is that it's a starting point for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so we really build on the 3 E's. So when students graduate, I want them to be able to continue their education, be an employable adult, or be able to enlist in the military.
Mm.
And in pitching those things and in trying to create a school culture and a school environment where those things are the priority, I know that kids don't like to just come to school. I know that
Right.
students wake up and would rather stay home and play video
Mhm.
games or stay
Yes.
up all night and play video games or talk on the phone or whatever it is teenagers do today. I have my own teenager plug his phone up in my bedroom every night, so I know he actually doesn't have it with him
Uh-huh.
because of those things. So we're just trying to create a culture where students who may struggle in reading, who may struggle in math, have something else that attracts them to school. We
Right.
offer welding on our school campus. We have a
Yes.
very strong agricultural department.
Yes.
Um, we offer culinary arts. We have an
Yes.
ROTC program. So it's more than just about the basics, the core subjects. Those
Mhm.
are important. That's how we're measured for our school grade.
Right.
But I can't get those things taken care of if we can't get kids to school. So
Right.
my call continuously to our community, to our families in Hamilton County is help us get them here. Whatever we
Mhm.
got to do to get them here, help us out. We've discussed possibly, and we haven't pushed any out this year, but we've discussed incentives for
Mhm.
students and grade levels that um, meet attendance requirements. This week we have our fall festival on Friday, which is our early dismissal before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
If students have missed 3 or more days unexcused since the end of October until now, they're not going to be eligible to go to the fall festival.
Mm.
And I hate taking that away from them, but I don't. I have a hard time seeing the value in rewarding you with the fall festival when you haven't held up your end of the deal and showing up to school.
Right.
We don't have any grade requirements attached to it.
Mhm.
It's all discipline. If you stayed out of trouble and you've been at school, you can go to the fall festival. But if you've been in
Right.
trouble, you haven't been at school, I'm sorry, it's more of a reward and incentive for everyone else. So we're constantly looking for ways to do that. My ears are open to meeting with people to find out
Mhm.
what incentives we can do to bring students out to get them to school every day, and then also what can we do to partner with families to help us if there's issues there. What role can we play as a school in helping overcome those issues so that we can get the students here to us?
Right. So that's the thing. So that's that is a concern because you have some students that okay, there we go. So that is a concern. That is a concern, having children, the babies to get to school, and then them actually learning when they get there too, and getting them excited about
Yeah.
being to school. And then let me tell you something, children are crafty, because I'm gonna tell you what I did when I was in school. I'm grown now.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you, when I was in school, my mom was going to work.
Huh?
So there's a way that I could stay out of school, and maybe make mama think that I'm going to get a ride to school, or I'm going to ride the bus, especially if my parents was gone before I went to school. Then I'm probably going to skip if I can.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and I'm telling you. And then if there's a way that I can get somebody to check me out, I'll get somebody to check me out. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, I was crafty because my mom did not play you missing school at all. So she was real strict, and because she was strict, I had to learn how to be a little sneaky with going to school. So you have to watch your children. And then when it
Oh
come
yeah.
down to me getting to school and wanted to actually look work, I didn't not want to do the work. My mama did not get my report card. She did not get my progress reports. And back then
I,
they didn't have emails. So I had to learn how to be a little crafty. So when you were talking about the babies actually getting to school,
yeah.
and they say, okay, now I got you to school. Now I don't want you to catch an attitude with your teacher. I don't want you to
Mhm.
say things that's going to get you out of school where you can go to ISS or get you expelled. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be things
Right.
like that. That's a thing, What were you about to say? I can tell you want to say something.
Oh no, well, it just what you just said, your story just resonates so much with the students that we have, because so
Mm-hmm.
many of our families, they work so hard to provide for their families, and so mom, dad, grandma, whomever they're living with, are out of the house at weird hours or crazy hours, and they rely on the bus to get them there. And I tell my kids all the time, if y'all would work as hard in the classroom as y'all do about trying to get out of class, then we
Uh-huh.
would be great. We'd be
We'll be
great.
great.
Our students are very creative. They're very
They are.
intelligent.
Yes.
And just like what you said, I was fortunately unfortunate that both of my parents worked in the school system. So
So you
uh,
could.
there were times, I actually remember a time in elementary school when I got caught playing on the football bleachers of the high school when I should have been walking to the elementary school.
Uh-huh.
And before I had a chance to confess my sins to my mother, she already knew. Somebody from the elementary school
Ooh.
had called her, and so yeah, they really knew what I had done before I had done it. And
Ooh.
so my experience was a little different, but I know that in going to school with so many families, now I have a senior who's graduating. My classmates have students who are graduating, so I know so many of our families. And in talking with them, the kids, the world is a little different today
Yes.
than it was, when I graduated in 2001. But what our students do, our students' approach to school, it's not that much different. So, like you said, it was always cool to get checked out.
Mhm.
Anytime you could leave early to go get something to eat or just go hang out and not have to deal with your afternoon classes, or to take a day to I say skip school. Yeah, I'm totally on board with you there, and that kind of goes back to the culture and all that we're trying to build, is so that I know I'm not going to win 100% of those battles. No one ever
Mhm.
has, and no one ever will. But
Right.
if I can create a culture where I win more of those than I lose, we're going to be
Mm.
okay. And that's our ultimate goal there, is to find a way to get those kids to want to come to school.
Oh,
Um,
that's it. Yeah, that's
especially
it.
especially on days that we don't have, I'm going to say, exciting things, like we don't have our incentive celebrations, we don't have pep rallies, we
Mm.
don't have scavenger hunts, we don't have, um, during homecoming week on Thursday, the
Right.
Thursday and Friday of homecoming week, there was very little pure instructional going on, because we
Right.
played powder puff volleyball for the powder puff football for the young ladies at the football field. So each class had a team representing them. And then the
Mm.
boys played Macho Man volleyball. And then the Friday of homecoming, um, we had a pep rally in the
Oh,
gym for our
yes.
middle school students and a scavenger
Uh-huh.
hunt in the auditorium. And then when the middle school kids went to class, we sent the high school kids to the gym for a pep rally. Which I do want to say, though, I got pied in the face at that pep rally,
Uh-huh.
and I've seen the videos, and I had some
Uh-huh.
students that got in a couple of extra, they like rubbed my face and rubbed it all over
Mhm.
my hair. So
Oh.
I just want to say to those students that Mr. Mitchell doesn't get mad; he gets even. That's all. That's all I want them to know.
Listen, I told you that you are so relevant and you are so like right now. You are not like old school. Like you be like,
No, man.
yeah, I'm a little kid at heart too. Don't play with me. But
I,
that's just too funny.
and the other thing I always tell them too is remember, I'm the one that signs their diplomas at the end of the year. So
Oh,
you can mess with me all you want, but I ultimately hold the power of the pen.
oh
And so,
goodness.
um, obviously I would never completely do that, but I like to mess with them
Right.
and let them think I would do it.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, because them babies, they did some stuff at the end of the year. And I was like, they just having fun. But what I love, I when I went to the pep rally and
Uh-huh.
I was hyped up. Oh my goodness, I was just hyped up. And I was like, I remember it took me back to when I was in school, to see the pep rally. So that is good.
Mhm.
So when you were talking about the incentives, those incentives do work because if you now you have something you can kind of like say, if you don't be good in class, I'm gonna tell your teacher. And so you got, so I don't, they give them like so many marks. And then
Right.
now you're not going to be able to go to to the events and things like that that they're hosting, something that they want to go to also. So if it's something that they somewhere they want to go, something they want to do, you can actually use that to kind of encourage them to behave, to do what they're told to do, and things like that. So when I tell myself, I'm going to tell your teacher that you were not doing your work, you're talking too much in class, and things like that. So that is good that y'all have like incentives and things like that y'all have for them to do, and the teachers listen. I had a teacher when I got in her classroom. I was so excited. Got in there, she had me a soda and a pie. And it had me a nice little note. I was like, oh, okay, I'll treat like 5 star, like
Yes,
royalty.
ma'am.
Then I went into another classroom. They had some potato chips and something else. They had me some notes, and they also told me the children that would be able to help me,
Mhm.
and that if I didn't know how to do certain things, that they allowed them to do. So that was good too. Not that you want to call them like your teacher's pet, but sometimes if you give them an assignment, give them something to do, and say, okay, will you be the one that assign my you'll be the one that I have to assign, when it's how many students are in here for lunch,
Yeah.
or I have you, helping out when it come down to the last one coming to the classroom, go ahead and close my door or open my door. Or I've even been in some classrooms where the lights were turned down and they were so quiet in there. I even use that like, okay, as soon as y'all get quiet and get settled in, get your work done, get started, I can turn the lights down. I even use that kind of stuff. I mean, just little things. And at the elementary school, I know we're not talking, I know it's not elementary stuff, but the elementary teachers used to have like if they were good or they got their work done, they give them like one or two little Skittles, and
Yeah.
them babies will do their work for them two little, and they want their Skittles. You better give them their Skittles.
High school kids will do the same thing.
Uh
So
huh.
one or two little Skittles for high school kids, or a lollipop,
Yes.
something like that works. And I'm glad you brought up the elementary school because I do want to shout out Miss Kathy Griffin,
Oh,
and
she
and
coming
her
next. She
staff.
coming.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
and her staff down there. Like
Uh
I always joke that I say we're the number one school in North Florida, with all due respect to my peers at the elementary school. But I know that I'm only as successful as they are,
huh.
because
Yeah.
they are building. They're the Titans. They're building the Titans that turn into Trojans, and so. Um,
Oh.
she and I have a great working relationship, and I obviously have a personal investment in my son Matthew being in there in the first grade. So
Mhm.
I just want to shout her out and the work that she's getting done
Mhm.
down there, and just very proud to be a principal along with her in our home, in our district.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I spoke with her a little bit briefly yesterday and today, and so I'm going to be bringing her on also to interview. That's why this is important, and this is why we was putting it out there and bringing you all on, because a lot of people don't get a chance to talk to the principal.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. They don't get a chance to hear you all out. They don't get a chance to hear. They hear about they see the things that's going on at the schoolhouse, and but we get an opportunity for them to come on something like this, for them to ask questions. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I said, you know what, we talk about different things, but here's the opportunity for us to ask questions,
Sure.
to come on, to comment, or to give us some ideas of what we can do to make the school better, or if they have any concerns. Because sometimes, let me tell you this, our children don't always tell us the truth. They do not. And you'd be surprised how young they are and the stuff they tell. Because my daughter, she was in elementary school and she said something about a teacher, and I wanted to go and tell that teacher off. She said the teacher spit in her face.
Oh no.
Mhm. Because that's all the information that I received from her, and I think she was like third grade. Well, I wanted to go tell that teacher off, but I had to think. I remember your teacher. Nice, quiet, good person. So why did she spit in your face? What were you doing that made her spit in your face, right? Let me tell you the truth. So let me tell you what Takesha Brown said. She said, we know our kids. So when I was talking to my daughter, I said, how did she get to that point when she spit in your face? And she said, well, I was talking to my classmate behind me, and she banged on my desk, and then she said, turn around. And I said, so when did the spit fly? When she was talking to me, she spit in my face when she was. I said, so you were turned around and you did it so often that she got upset with you, had to get your attention by hitting on the desk. And while she was talking, she was so upset that the spit was coming out of her mouth. And you told me that she spit in your face. I said, Lord, I almost went out to that schoolhouse and got that teacher in trouble. And if I would have talked to my daughter, asked her why did she spit in her face and what happened, I wouldn't have made a fool of myself. So
Absolutely.
so Queen Takesha said, always ask the adult. I always ask them, because I'm gonna tell you, sometimes when you get the adult together and the child, sometimes the story will change.
Yeah.
But my baby, I never made it to the schoolhouse, and I told the teacher at the end of school what happened and why I didn't come to her and things like that. She didn't go back to school the next year. She just, and all I did was just tell her what happened. But she was one of those people that I knew her by the spirit, and then I knew she was a nice person. She was young, she was new in the school
Right.
system, and I could have ran her off, but eventually I did when I told her at the end. But I said, but you just have to be careful, because these babies, they don't tell the truth. They'll say something, and they have the parents out here getting mad, and we don't have the whole story.
Right.
But that was just something we have to be careful. And just like she said, we know our children. When
Oh,
if your child, your child is a certain way, you have to ask them questions before you go out to that schoolhouse. Ask them what happened. Ask them questions, because sometimes those babies they done took out some of the story, or they done added too much to the story. You find they may not be all true. Maybe some truth to it, but they may not be all true. But my baby, she that right there, spitting in her face ordeal was a situation for me.
some of them get hyped up by their friends,
Oh,
to make it that. I mean, we deal with that, and it's so
uh-huh.
funny that Miss Takesha said that about knowing her kids, because some of the phone calls I have with
Yes.
parents sometimes is
Mhm.
like, "Hey, Mr. Mitchell, listen, my kid is saying this, but I know how they can be in class, or I know how they are. Now they're going to take up for their kid, right? Which is
Right,
what I
right.
expect, which is what I want.
Yes.
But a lot
Uh-huh.
of times they'll call and go, "Can you find out what happened?"
Mhm,
And a lot
mhm.
of times, I mean, I will take that all the time.
Yes.
Obviously, I deal with some parents that call and are uh, kind of take like you were at the beginning,
Uh-huh. Mhm.
and I do everything I can to catch that as the principal, because
Right.
um, I want to find out what's going on. I want to go talk to the teacher. I want to find out what was really happening, and get the whole story. And the other thing is, a lot of times we find out that time cools things off a little bit. So
Yes.
if a parent's upset, they have to get to me, and then when time cools off and everybody cools off, I have no problem setting up a parent teacher conference.
Right.
But we're not going to go in there and get personal with one another or get really upset. And again, if we're wrong, we're wrong. We work to fix that. But at the same time, um, she's exactly right. You're right. Let's get to the bottom of the story, and then we'll go from there. And
Mhm.
it's always fun. And when you look back on it, it may not be fun in the moment, but
Yes.
the stories we could tell about the things that kids have taken and run home and told everybody, and then when you get to the truth, it's just a sliver of the real information.
Just
So,
just a
uh,
little bit. Just a little
but you
bit.
know that when you deal with it as long as we have, it's the truth. It's how it always shakes out. It seems.
Yeah, I gotta tell a little bit of my story, but I'm gonna do this one. She said, I was a bus driver. So Queen Takesha said, I was a bus driver for years, and they tell their parents anything. And so we
Anything.
think, oh, I'm on goodness. Now, let me tell you something. I could sub, but I cannot be a bus driver. Oh my goodness, my heart go out to the bus drivers. Oh my goodness. Like people have to give shout outs and accolades to these bus drivers. Like, because these people right here, how do you drive this huge house filled with humans and babies, and they're loud and they're walking around. They're mad, they're angry, they're tired, they're full of energy. All these different babies on a bus, and you're driving this house. That's what I call it. It's a bus, but driving all by yourself. So shout out to the bus drivers. I tell you,
Absolutely.
they got a task on their hand.
You know, when we talk about bus drivers, and a lot of people don't realize this, but a bus driver is usually the first and last person associated with the school that a student sees every day. So
Mm,
it's important for us that when we interact with those students, that if we want them to have a good day, we need to put them in a position to have a good day. So
right,
saying hello, saying good morning, saying how are you, saying have
right,
a great day, be safe on your way home. All of those things are so important. And so many people believe that school starts when they get on our campus. School starts when they wake up in the morning. You know, when they head
wow,
towards the buses, when they it starts well before that bell rings for first period. So the
right.
interactions that they have with adults, um, it's
Mm,
very important for me, for our staff, to talk to students and to talk to them by name. I have
yes.
851 students at this high
Ooh,
school in grades
come
6 through
on.
12. Um, and I may not be able to, I can tell you a name and whether they're a student or not of ours. And I work very hard to know all of my students by name. I have better luck with giving them a nickname.
Yes, me
Most of
too.
my students joke about our nicknames with each other. Um, but it's important to me because the people that I've met, that I've gotten great value from their input into my life, are people that took the time to know who I was, that took the time to know my name, that took the time
Right.
to see the value in what I brought to, whether it's an organization, to a school, to whatever I was representing at the time. And so I want to be that for our students. Um, I
Mm,
don't want to be someone who they just see as a guy that doesn't know anything about them, that doesn't care anything about them.
right.
I tell them over the intercom all the time that I love them. I tell them when I get them into an
Yes, you
assembly that I
do.
love them, and
You do.
it's not just empty words for me. Um,
Right.
I take a lot of the stuff that we deal with out here. Sometimes it goes home with me in my heart, and it
Mm,
hurts. If I could take certain students out of certain situations that they can't control, I absolutely
mm,
would. But you know, at the end of the day, all we can do is the best that we can do, and provide students with an environment to be successful. Our district um, mission statement is to provide a successful future, to ensure a successful future for every student, not just the
right.
ones that are going to college, not just the ones that have, you know, been a pretty good student, were never in trouble. No, every single student that comes through Hamilton County High School, when they graduate, I talked about the 3 E's. My goal is to ask them, what are you doing tomorrow? What's your plan for
Mm,
next year? What are you
right.
going to do? And that we know that we've had a hand in that. And at
Right.
the end of the day, if we can say yes uh, to all of those things, then we will certainly be the number one school in North Florida.
I know that's right. Okay, Takesha, she's my girl. She be on it. This woman right here, she's a woman of God, smart, very intelligent, and she don't mind putting it out there. She said, and my daughter used to have me thinking teachers were after her, especially when things didn't go her way. And that is something, listen, if we don't like a teacher or they strict, or
Ooh,
they're mean, and we're gonna make them sound like the worst thing ever. I'm just telling you because we want to do things we want to do when we want to do it and how we want to do it, and we'll come and we'll keep telling you about that particular teacher until that teacher gone, and that teacher could be telling the truth, but we don't like it, and yeah, but when I came up, you better not talk about it. Don't teach. You better have respect for them, and
absolutely,
you know, and the teachers care, when I was in school. So you do have to, look into that thing. And I'm gonna tell this, Mr. Mitch, I'm gonna tell my situation. So I did something, and I should have done it. And after it was done, I said something, and no, I didn't say it directly to a student, but by the time it came out, it was as if I had said something to the students, and I understood after it was said and done
right.
that okay, you were mad, but you should not have said that or done that. And so we as substitutes, as teachers, as people we are human, we're adults, we're grown,
No,
and
absolutely.
we can get upset too at times, and we say things that should not be said. And so I went to Mr. Mitchell and I told him, okay, this is what happened. And I said, if I have to, I would apologize. And I would explain myself and explain what happened. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that we are the adults and they are children, and that they're always watching. And now, in these particular things with the students and things like that, now when they do stuff and they be acting all out and I'm gonna do this and they be fussing and whatever, all the stuff the babies do when they get mad. I told one baby, I said, keep on, I'm gonna give you a hug. And that I don't have no and I have no problems out of this baby. He looked at me like a hug, like you better not, and I said, I'm gonna give you a hug. So I turned that thing around instead of talking, say I'm gonna write you up or I'm gonna tell your teacher. I said, keep right on. And I said, I'm gonna give you a big old fat hug. And I can do that. Now other people
Yep.
not give you a fat hug, but I can. And that baby looked there, he went from rolling his eyes at me to turning his head, he blushed. And I said, oh, I got him. It's
Got him.
over. I got him. But I just
Uh,
know that sometimes, things, happen. And
mhm,
even we as adults, when things like that happen, we have to be mature enough to take accountability,
mhm.
of things, because it, just as well as I'm a substitute, I'm sure that things have been said and that have, kind of got and rubbed the children the wrong way. And we have to be adult about it. And I've had that conversation with you, Mr. Mitchell, and I apologize for that. But that's me being this my transparent moment at the school, and then I've been around some teachers and I told them and they laughed at me and they was like, girl, oh my God. And I said, yes. And I just want to apologize because I was in your classroom. And they was like, well, we probably won't have that problem and things like that. And those same teachers now come to me and they ask me, how was your day? Are you having a good day today?
Yeah.
And I need that. And I just break out, I just bust out laughing because it's like we become a team because
Yeah.
I had a moment and I told them about my moment. I felt bad about it and I was just transparent with them. And now they come to me and they help me out more, so that we all can still cohabitate, me and the babies together, and we can still love on each other. And if there's any advice that they can give me, they give me advice. And I'm like, oh my God, I just love y'all. And so these are the things that I'm saying. We are a family at the school. At
Absolutely.
Hamilton County School, and we're here to make everything a better place, and that's why we are here today.
Right.
To answer the questions that you all have. Listen to your comments and advice and things like that because it's needed.
Well, one of the things too, and I'm so glad you kind of segued into this, is that we talk a lot about the baggage that our kids bring to school. Sometimes
Right,
they may have heard an argument or seen things that we don't want a kid to see, and there's nothing that we
right,
can do about that. We can't control that. Um, but in the same respect, I have to think of my educators in the same way. Um,
right.
I have educators who are sole providers for their parents, who are sole providers for their spouse or for their
Yes,
children, and so they bring a lot of stress with them to work. And
yes,
no matter how hard we try to be perfect, we never are. There was only one person that
right.
ever walked this earth that was, and none of us are close to him. Um, thank goodness for his forgiveness and for the price he paid on the cross for us. But my adults, we mess up a lot,
Mhm.
and so what we try to work on is that when we do mess up, we do it from a place of care,
Right,
that it's not ever a place where we would put a kid in danger, because
right.
our first goal is always, and our priority always has and always will be, the safety and security and welfare of our students, because
Mhm.
and my staff too, because when
Right.
in today's world, you turn on the news and it seems like every day there's been a mass shooting or uh,
Mm.
something like that. And I'm not going to tell you that we are immune to it in Hamilton County. You can't live with that mentality anymore. We've taken steps um, to make sure that we are as safe and secure as we can be. But back to the adults. I know that some people have bad days sometimes, and we say things
Mhm.
that are regrettable, and so that's why my approach to all of this is to have the conversations, the one-on-one
Yes.
conversations, which is why it's so important to build positive relationships with the
Mm.
educators, with the family,
Mhm.
with the students, so that they feel comfortable enough to come in and sit with me and say, "All right, here's what happened. Um,
Mhm.
I was angry, or I was
Mhm.
upset, and I
Mhm.
said this."
Mhm.
And so we walked through the whole thing, and then, you know, like I told you in the beginning, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. I always
Right.
want to learn something from every experience, and then we try to talk about, okay, so if this happens again, because there's a good chance that it will, what are we going to do differently?
Yes.
And then we have to work hard to make sure that in those emotional moments and those moments of heat, when the anger or the frustration really peaks and gets hot, that we don't revert back to the old way of doing things.
Mm.
And that's a challenge. I'm going to be
Oh,
honest
yeah.
with you. That's a challenge in everything we do here in Hamilton County, because we're trying to accomplish some things out here that haven't been done in a very long time. Um,
Mm.
but I believe that we have the right people in place, and to our community members that are listening and support us. You know, I know
Mhm.
that there have been some things. We kind of changed the way we did some of the homecoming voting this year. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
we've already received feedback about ways we can improve that, so we're going to adjust it a little bit for next year. We're still going to do an interview process, but we're still going to do some voting for the students.
Yes.
This year, when we did our seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, our class representatives, they had to go before an interview committee and explain
Mm.
why they felt they should be the best representative for their grade.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
because it goes back to us wanting to provide those opportunities for students. I want every student on my campus before they leave to be interviewed for something, so
I
that
know that's right.
for their first interview in the real world for a job, they've already been through something similar. Um, so we did that this year, and then our committee, which was not made of anybody from the high school, decided who they tallied up the points, and they didn't know when they left the room who it was. The math was done on the
Right.
backside. Um, but I got feedback from our students. I got feedback from some community members. And so
Uh-huh.
what we're going to do is use that interview process again to list it down to maybe the top two or three in each grade level, and then let the
Mhm.
students vote on those two or three. So
Okay.
so it'll be democratic from the student voice perspective, which is ultimately what
Mhm.
we want. But it'll also be where the students have to go through an interview process and still meet all the requirements. So, um, it's never perfect, and we're going to continue to build it. But I do appreciate the feedback that I got in that situation from the families, and from my students, my student voice, the student body. They came to me and they said, "Hey, Mr. Mitchell, we don't like, or we don't appreciate the way this was done."
Mhm.
Um, and some of them were my seniors who won't be here next year, and they
Right.
said, this is what we feel. Would you consider for future classes doing it this way? And
Mhm.
I have the utmost respect for those kids, because that tells me they have an investment in our future as a school, and it's not
Mhm.
just about seeing the class of 2024 get out of here this year. They want to, they know that they're a part of our pathway to be the number one school in North Florida. And I just, man, when those kids came to me with that, I was like,
Uh-huh.
this is what it's about. This is why we do what we
Mhm.
do. And you know, yeah, I got to get their graduation scores, and yeah, we got to hold them accountable for those things. But man, to be able to come to me and say, hey, we didn't like this.
Uh-huh.
This is what we suggest, and then to
Yes.
say, would you consider it not for the benefit of us, but for the
Mm.
benefit of someone else? I'm like,
Right. That's yeah.
man, you guys got it.
They
Uh,
got it.
so I was so pleased. So those are the great moments that make you really happy as a principal.
Right. And I'm telling you, I spoke to a couple of those babies and things, and they are very them babies are smart. They're very
They are.
intelligent. Yeah. I do have something I want to ask you. So I had it written down. I had it written. I think we've actually answered that question. I think we've actually answered um the question about the incentives, because we talked
Yeah,
about the incentives. We talked about your concern, and your concern was the attendance,
sure.
of the babies and them actually coming to school. But this is what I wanted to share with you. I went to a few of the classroom with the teachers, and
Uh-huh.
some of the students that talked about certain teachers in the school, and I asked them about like the fifth and sixth grade teachers, and they speak highly of them, but those teachers be working. Them teachers, oh my goodness, I don't think I know when they get home they got to go right to bed, because they have so many things that they do with those babies that keep them entertained, keep them up and running, and those babies learn from them. And when I went into their classroom, yes, it was a lot of activity going on because them babies were learning. They were raising their hand, and they was like active. And Miss Norris, Miss Infertino, that whole room, I went to their class and things like that. And those teachers, and that I think of them is at the sixth grade, fifth grade
Sixth grade wing, yeah.
classroom. And oh my goodness, those teachers are so active. They're so active with their babies and their students, and they're passionate about learning. And then they, and I've had some teachers, I don't forgot which ones it was that I was in the classroom, and the students were doing some stuff on the computer, and they was like, excuse me, could you tell such and such to get on their assignment? Because they're on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God. But I've had some help in the background. So although the teachers were not there, they were still there. Like, aren't you on vacation?
Yeah, no.
But they were messaging. It was like, because you want to make sure they're getting their work done versus just in there just on YouTube. You got to walk around. So it's just a lot. I want to talk about look, you want to say something. What you're about to say?
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned Miss Norris, and I don't know if the people of Hamilton County realize this. We're one of the few small and rural counties that in the last 5 years have had 2 teachers finish in the top 5 for the statewide Teacher of the Year. Miss Norris in
Mm,
2020 was the finished in the top 5 of statewide Teacher of the Year. And even though she's not on my campus, Miss Kimberly Crowder at the elementary school this past year was a finalist for the top 5 Teacher of the Year in the entire state. So we can do it in Hamilton County. We have the right people here in Hamilton County. And I hope people realize what a great opportunity it is to learn from these amazing educators that we have.
I'm glad you said that because I don't know what it's called because I'm not a teacher, but
Right.
what is it that you, when you have teachers like Miss Norris
Uh-huh.
and they're helping the other teachers, what is that? What is that
So,
called?
okay, so that's a new. It's like instructional coaching, kind of like athletic coaching, but in the classroom. But it's a new program I've started this year called Empowering Teacher Practices, and I call them my ETP squad for short
Okay.
because that's what we do in school. We
Uh-huh.
always shorten everything to an acronym. But I have
Okay.
3 teachers that go work with other teachers on campus. Sometimes the other teachers on campus come to their classroom. Sometimes those teachers go to them. And the goal is not to make them all alike. I don't want that. I
Right.
don't want everybody to be Leanne Norris. I don't want
Right.
everybody to be Kelly Infantino or Natalie Wiggins or Sally
Mm.
Murphy. I don't need the same thing because I want everybody to be the best versions of themselves. But
Woo.
in a small county, small community like ours, why not use the expertise you have on your campus?
Right.
I can't do everything. And I have
Right.
teachers that I tell people all the time, I'm not going to be a principal forever. I would like
Mm.
to train and build my replacement. So
Ooh, you gotta say that.
giving people the opportunity to grow themselves outside of the classroom, and just those are just great things that we're trying to do. And so that ETP squad that you're referring to is a chance for 3 of our teachers to go work with other teachers, and our goal is to continue to grow that. So continue to go from 3 to maybe 6 next year. Do I have 6
Right.
people who want to participate in it and move around and go from there?
Wow. Okay, I do have a
Sure.
question coming from Chastity McClendon. My classmate, she said, can you ask if he feels our kids are behind compared to other school districts? She just wanted to know if we're on the level with other schools in the state of Florida.
So that's actually a very very good question. I remember Chastity when she played basketball because
Oh,
my
great. Okay.
dad being the basketball coach, Chastity was a baller.
Oh,
Um,
she was. Yes.
I think when you look at the data, being 100% real, um, our data is not great right now. So if
Mhm,
you just look at the data and you say yes, we're not performing like other school districts are.
mhm.
Um, we do have a lot of good things going on with high performing students, but as a whole, I would feel that some students, a larger percentage of our population are behind. Um, I don't like necessarily comparing us to other school districts
Mhm.
because I want to look at what the student is expected to do at each grade level. So those are our
Right.
standards and benchmarks that we have to use. Um, I know we have counties around us: Swanee, Columbia, Madison, Lafayette. If you go further down there, and naturally we compare ourselves to them because they're our neighbors. We want to see how we're
Right.
doing with those. Right now, we're behind them, um, but we are working to get better with that. So yeah, we have some substantial learning gaps that we are trying to close. We have some subgroups with the Federal Department of Education. We have the Every Student Succeeds Act that
Mhm.
President Obama put into place.
Mhm.
And so there are checks and balances in that we have to make sure our students are being successful with. And right now we have about 5 or 6 subgroups at the high school that we are really focused on. Um, our students who are considered economically disadvantaged, which
Mhm.
90% of our student body falls in that category. Um, we have we have our African American students, our Hispanic students, our English language learners, and our students with disabilities are all subgroups that we have to do a better job of preparing them to meet the requirements. I will say that the requirements have changed. They're continuing to make them higher and higher to graduate high school. Uh, just in this senior class alone, we just got our SAT scores back from one of the last tests. If
Mhm.
the old scores from 2 years ago would have been in place, I probably would have had 7 or 8 more students meet that requirement. But
Mhm.
because the score has jumped from a 430 to a 480 on the reading, they
Mhm.
haven't met the requirement. So
Okay.
we're having to adjust. So yeah, Miss Chassie, that's a great question. To summarize it, yeah, we're a little bit behind. We are,
No.
but I can tell you that we are identifying those gaps and working to improve them for sure.
Right. Yeah, so she said Chastity came and she said, "Thanks, Yolanda, for asking a question, and thanks for answering, Ryan." So yes, ma'am. That's why we're here, and that's why we did it so that people can actually come on and actually ask questions, and for y'all to get a true and real answer. Because that is a question that some people been wanting to ask, and they have asked, and we've seen some things, on there and things like that, and that's why we have parents also that are concerned, because we know
Yeah,
Chastity is one of them. She's concerned about her babies, and she's involved in their life.
and she
And
she shows up. She shows up at the school when we have functions, and
yes,
so yeah, she is certainly
mhm,
active in in their education, and she's a stakeholder for us. She's not just a parent, but she's an alumnus. So
right,
yeah, it means a lot to her. It runs in her blood.
right. I know that's right. And then um, and that's the thing that we have to be mindful of, is when you have opportunities when you can ask questions,
Certainly,
and then and then we think to ourselves, like, as a parent, what can we do at home, to help our children? And then also, you know, how can we, what ideas or suggestions can we give, to the school,
right.
of how we think and what we think can make it better if we just try it out. So that's how we're doing things like this. We're having this interview, so we can, put have some say so in the matter, because a lot of times we feel like we don't have any say so, but we have great ideas and suggestions too. But it only
Certainly.
takes when you get involved to say, "This is what I think y'all should try out. This is what I think y'all can do. Have y'all thought about this?" And this is why we're doing that. And so I do have one more question, or
Sure.
comment. To
Sure.
Keisha, she's back again. This queen right here is not stopping. I'm telling you, she said, "Great question." She said, "My daughter was at the top of her school, but the upward bound mentor reminded her that when she goes to college, it's not only her school, but others as well." So that's good.
So can I speak to that really quickly?
Yes.
So one of the things that we mentioned, because we do have, in addition to being a little bit behind in the data, we do have students that can go to the University of Florida. I graduated with honors from Florida State University, and I'm born and raised Hamilton County, went through the system. So we have students that can compete at the highest of the highest levels. I had a
Mm.
classmate that graduated with me that was on Jeopardy. Um, so we
What?
oh yeah, we have those. But what I'm stressing to my students right now is when you write those college essays. So we'll start with the college bound kids. There are maybe 1,000 kids that are just like you with the same grades, with the same participation in things that you have. But what is it about you that's going to make their school a better place? And what have you
Mm.
done here at our school to make it a better place so that you bring value to their school. And it's the same thing with my students who want to go straight into the workforce, who want to be in the three E's, being an employable adult. What is it about you that's going to make someone want to hire you? Yes, you
Mm,
have grades. Yes, you have certifications. Those things are great. But what are your skills that you can have? What is it about your attitude, about your personality that makes me want to hire you? When
come
when
on.
when I hire teachers, I'm accountable for their certifications, and that's important. But I look more for the fit of what we're building here, because you can have all the certifications in the world, but if you don't buy into what we're building with our culture, it's going to be miserable for both of us. You're not going to want to be here. I'm going to get complaints about you, and then it's going
Mm,
to be tough, even though you have all these certifications. Um,
mm,
and so I stress the same thing to my students. What are you doing? What are you willing to do to make yourself stand out above the rest? And it doesn't always be is it doesn't always focus on grades. It doesn't always focus on how good you were at football or basketball or volleyball or soccer or baseball, softball or ROTC, or we've got a theater troupe now that's actually next Friday going to participate in a one act play over in St. Augustine, a competition for a one act play in St. Augustine. Um, so again, we've got great things. Little plug there. Got a lot of great things going on. But
I know
but
that's
what
right.
is it? What is it about you as a human? What is it about you as a person that's going to make my organization, that's going to make that organization, that school, a better place? And so having our kids reflect on that, and then our job as educators, being a leader in me school, is to help them realize that potential, and help them realize how special they are and what it is that they bring to our school, um, to make it better. Last week we had senior night for our football, cheer, and color guard and ROTC, and I shook every one of their hands, and I told them that it was a pleasure to be their principal. It's a pleasure to serve them as their principal, because it really is to me, and
Right.
because they start to realize their potential, and we're a part of that process, and it's so awesome to see these kids just when they see it, when they grab it, when they realize it, and then you look back on them when they become adults, and you see them be successful. No amount of money in the world could ever bring that kind of happiness.
I know that's right. I have held you for over an hour. This has been a whole blessing. I have enjoyed this interview. And this is why why I wanted to have it, so that people could get on, ask questions, comment, and even ask, because Chastity, for her to say, when I'm going to ask the question,
Sure.
do you think that we're behind? Do you, like, ask the questions? That's why we're here, because we sometimes are not able to make it to the school because our work schedule may not permit us to go to the school and ask the questions. We'll comment, we'll talk to other people about it, but we don't never address it or say something about it. And it may be something that we already know, address the elephant in the room, say something about it, comment, so that's why we're here. So Mr. Mitchell, thank you for coming on and being brave, because I'm telling you, people could be, you know,
Yeah.
cruel, but I'm so
Right.
glad that you did that. And for you all was able to chime in, that did chime in, thank you all for saying something. Those who commented, thank you all for commenting. I don't know if Mr. Mitchell want to come back, another time, but Mr. Mitchell, I'm here to tell you that if you want to come back, you're more than welcome to come back. Miss, oh, look at her, she came
There she
on.
is.
Look,
There
you see
she is.
her? She said, she said, I have enjoyed this interview. I'm next. She's like, ha ha, yes, ma'am. Okay, you're playing with it. I'm gonna have you to come on,
She
Miss.
she she
Yes,
would
ma'am.
she would be an amazing interview. But Miss Yolanda, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the number one school in North Florida, to talk about the things that we're doing. We could talk about a lot of things. We do student shout outs, we do teacher shout outs, just trying to build a culture of where, I have a saying that people are proud to be an alumni and a stakeholder of Hamilton County High School. I believe we have a lot of the elements in place, and so just thank you so much for the opportunity to come out and talk about my amazing students and educators. And hey, go Trojans, right?
Go Trojans. That'll be something we can do next time. So, Miss Crease, we're gonna bring you on along with Mr. Mitchell.
That
And we're
sounds
gonna do,
great.
Yes, and we'll do some shout outs. We'll do some shout outs to our she said shout out to the number one boss, Raven Marine. Look at her. Yes,
Hey,
you better say
that's
it.
she was a student in my geometry class,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
now she teaches for me. So hey, you look, nothing makes me happier to see people be successful like that.
I'm trying to tell you. So who else is this? She said,
That's Miss
oh, look,
Infantino, Miss
we
I.
just got through talking about a love being a part of Hamilton County High School. Yes, see there. See what happened when you talk about them? They'll come up, they'll pop up, and
They
they'll say
are.
things. So yes, this has been a whole blessing. So we thank you all for coming on. Y'all should share this video. Let them know that we're going to be on YouTube as well. Watch him on TV, y'all. Go on YouTube, watch him on
Hey,
TV. And then stay tuned for next time. We're gonna have Miss Griffin to come on. I'm going to be interviewing her, talking about the elementary school, the concerns there at the elementary school. What can we do to make Hamilton County a better school? And we're going to start doing us some shout outs, okay, y'all? So y'all stay tuned for that. Um, and put it out on another level. We need to talk about the high schoolers who are doing some great things. Put them on Newbeing Queen Talk Show. Talk about the great things that they're doing. They're making good
absolutely.
grades. They can just encourage other students and things like that. We can do some great things here. And so, and Mr. Mitchell, is there anything else you want to say before we close out for today?
No, ma'am. Just again, thank you, thank you,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for this
Absolutely.
opportunity to the citizens of Hamilton County. I can promise you that we are doing the best that we can. We are working as hard as we can to make Hamilton County High School the number one school in
The
North Florida. Go Trojans.
I love it. You said the. No, you better say that. Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan. You take care of yourself. Until next time, peace and blessings.
Yes, ma'am.